The Crown Season 5 Recap. Episodes 1. Queen Victoria Syndrome. In 1953, Elizabeth launches the royal yacht Britannia. In 1991, Elizabeth and Philip make a 2-week cruise aboard the aging Britannia while Charles and Diana travel to Italy for what is seen as their second honeymoon. Diana is annoyed that Charles has invited his cousins Norton and Penelope Knatchbull to join them, even more so when Charles cuts the holiday short due to a diary conflict. A Sunday Times poll reveals that half of the British public favours Elizabeth, seen as having been on the throne for too long, abdicating so that Charles would become king. Elizabeth meets the new Prime Minister John Major at Balmoral Castle and asks the government to fund renovations to Britannia. Major agrees despite admitting his reluctance. Philip, Charles, Diana, and Margaret talk to Major during the Gillies Ball, each confiding their troubles. Major later tells his wife Norma that the royal family's situation threatens the country's stability. Episodes 2. The System. Philip receives news of the Knatchbull's daughter's death while giving an interview about how he got into carriage driving. To help a grieving Penelope, he introduces her to the sport. Diana learns from friend James Colthurst that journalist Andrew Morton plans to write a tell-all biography. She agrees to help Morton, seeing the book as a chance to tell her side of the story. To prevent direct contact, Morton gives Colthurst questions to deliver to Diana, who conveys answers back to Morton. Philip reflects on his grief over his sister's death while helping Penelope establish a charity in her daughter's memory. Penelope then informs Philip about the rumors concerning Diana and her involvement with Morton. Colthurst gets into a traffic accident, Morton's home is broken into, and Philip warns Diana about the consequences of disloyalty during a surprise visit. Morton's book is published amid growing tensions between Diana and the royal family. Episodes 3. Mau Mau. In 1946 Alexandria, Egypt, Coca-Cola street vendor Mohammed Al-Fayed briefly meets the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. In 1979, Mohammed, now a rich businessman, purchases the Hotel Ritz Paris. Mohammed has his son, Dodi, dismiss black waiter Sidney Johnson at a reception, but rehires him after discovering he was the Duke of Windsor's valet. Johnson teaches Mohammed British customs and etiquette. Mohammed purchases the Harrods store and becomes an executive producer of Chariots of Fire, which wins the Academy Award for Best Picture. In 1986, following the Duchess of Windsor's death, Mohammed leases and restores the Windsor's villa. On receiving an invitation to visit, the Queen sends her private secretary, Sir Robert Fellows, to take possession of certain items for the royal collection. Johnson dies shortly afterwards. At the Royal Windsor Horse Show, Mohammed meets Diana, whom the Queen sends to sit with him, and introduces her to Dodi. Episodes 4. Annus Horribilis. Margaret receives a letter from Peter Townsend and learns he will be in London for a veterans reception. The former lovers reunite, with Townsend saying that he plans to return the letters written during their relationship. Andrew asks Elizabeth for permission to separate after compromising photos of his wife are published, recently divorced, and announces her intention to marry Timothy Lawrence, and Charles argues his marital struggles will affect the royal family. A fire breaks out at Windsor Castle, destroying over 100 rooms. Margaret tells Elizabeth she is still furious that she was not allowed to marry Townsend. During a luncheon marking her Ruby Jubilee, Elizabeth delivers a speech describing 1992 as an annus horribilis. Episodes 5. The Way Ahead. Following Elizabeth's decision to allow Charles and Diana to separate, the senior royals create an informal group of advisors to find ways to improve the monarchy's image. The group comes up with only minor measures. A tabloid newspaper publishes transcripts of an intimate telephone conversation between Charles and Camilla from 3 years earlier. To improve his public image, Charles participates in an ITV documentary. Diana upstages him on the night of the premiere by attending an event in an outfit dubbed by the media as a revenge dress. Anne reports to the senior royals following a meeting with Charles, stating that he is emerging from the scandal stronger than ever and is setting up his own circle of advisors to work on the prince's trust. Episode 6. Ipatieff House. In 1917, King George V and Queen Mary are asked by the British government to support the dispatch of a warship to Russia to bring Tsar Nicholas II and his family to the United Kingdom. At Ipatieff House in Yekaterinburg, the Romanovs are executed by local Bolsheviks. In 1992, the Queen receives Russian President Boris Yeltsin at Buckingham Palace. Yeltsin invites the Queen for a state visit to Russia. The Queen, pointing out that Yeltsin carried out the order to demolish Ipatieff House, makes it a condition for the remains of the Romanovs to be exhumed and reburied. Yeltsin agrees, and Prince Philip helps identify the remains through DNA profiling by providing his samples. On the state visit to Russia, Philip admits to the Queen that he has sought intellectual companionship elsewhere, the closest friend being Lady Romsey. The Queen invites Lady Romsey to make a public appearance alongside the royal family to dispel rumors of any impropriety. Episode 7. No Woman's Land. Prince William begins attending Eton College. Diana struggles with her separation and the changing relationship with her son. Martin Bashir, a journalist for the BBC current affairs programme Panorama, gains the confidence of Earl Spencer, Diana's brother. Bashir claims that Charles and Diana's staff such as Patrick Jeffson are spying for the security services. Diana meets the surgeon Hasnat Khan. William confides to the Queen that he sometimes worries about his mother. Diana waits around the hospital until she has another encounter with Khan. Earl Spencer introduces Diana to Bashir. Bashir persuades Diana to film an interview to tell her story in response to Charles's documentary. Diana and Khan see a film together, then share a kiss. Bashir encourages Diana over her feelings of insecurity. Episodes 8. Gunpowder. Diana and Khan continue their relationship. Bashir and his editor Steve Hewlett are given the go-ahead by BBC Director General John Burt to conduct the interview. Earl Spencer notes inconsistencies in Bashir's accounts and advises Diana to cease contact, but Bashir persuades Diana to continue. Bashir and his team film an interview with Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales, under secrecy in Diana's flat at Kensington Palace on bonfire night. Reviewing the footage, Burt is stunned by the explosive content and has misgivings about letting it air, but does not terminate it. Diana informs the Queen of the interview in advance of its broadcast, which the Queen notes is on her and Prince Philip's 48th wedding anniversary. Episodes 9. Couple 31. The Queen writes to Charles and Diana advising them to divorce. Diana deals with the fallout of the Panorama interview and the end of her relationship with Khan. With Charles and Diana unable to agree on settlement terms, the Queen asks Major to act as an intermediary. Charles engages the services of public relations executive Mark Bolland, who advises him to agree to terms so that Charles and Camilla can improve their public image. Charles and Diana agree on a settlement. Charles visits Diana at her flat, where the two nearly make amends before the conversation turns to their marriage, at which point they argue again, prompting Charles to storm out. A government worker finalizes their divorce paperwork. The episode ends with newsreel footage of Charles and Diana's wedding. Episodes 10. Decommissioned. The Labour Party led by Tony Blair wins the 1997 general election by a landslide. With Blair making it clear that he will not fund a new yacht with taxpayers' money, and his proposal for private financing rejected by the Queen, she decides to retire Britannia without replacement. Diana and her sons are invited by Mohammed Al Fayed to a holiday in Saint-Tropez. Charles travels to Hong Kong to give a speech marking the handover of Hong Kong. After the handover ceremony, he meets Blair on Britannia to discuss modernizing the monarchy. Before the decommissioning of Britannia, the Queen returns to the yacht for a private farewell. The end. Please subscribe my YouTube channel Teddy's Best Story Time. See you next time.